Do you find yourself constantly apologising in your marriage? This video will help you understand why. We're diving into the world of narcissistic communication and the tactics used to shift blame. Ready to gain insights that will empower you in your relationship? Let's begin. 1. Now's not the time. This comes into play when a narcissistic wife seeks to elegantly sidestep accountability, making the timing of the conversation the villain rather than addressing the issue at hand. It goes something like this. Are we really going to talk about this right now? And just like that, she shifted the focus. It's a moment that demands your attention and seriousness, yet she downplays it, suggesting that there could possibly be a better time for such discussions. The genius of this tactic? It leaves you questioning your own judgment, wondering if perhaps you are making a mountain out of a molehill. It's a psychological game of chess, and she's just made her move, steering the conversation away from the actual issue and onto your choice of timing. It's subtle, it's slick, and it's a classic move in the narcissist's playbook, designed to make you second guess while she slips away from taking responsibility. 2. Eye roll. Okay, so it's not exactly them saying anything, but the eye roll can be just as effective in deflecting blame. Imagine you bring up a concern, something that's been bothering you, and you're met with an eye roll so exaggerated it could be seen from space. The eye roll says, "You always make such a big deal out of nothing." In that moment, she's not just dismissing your feelings, she's actively diminishing them, making you feel small and your concerns invalid. It's a tactic rooted in the desire to shift the blame and avoid responsibility, all while making you doubt your own perceptions. Her message is that your feelings are an overreaction, and thus, the problem isn't her actions, but rather your response to them. It's a clever way of turning the tables, leaving you defending your right to feel hurt, rather than addressing the real issue at hand. 3. Feigned forgetfulness. I don't remember saying that. When she utters these words, you might find yourself plunged into a sea of confusion and self-doubt. This is a classic maneuver of a narcissist. She crafts a fog around past events, creating a distorted reality where her words and actions become elusive ghosts. It's a well-rehearsed dance, aiming to make you question your own memory rather than her accountability. Have you ever found yourself with a crystal clear recollection of her words, only to be met with her unwavering denial? She constructs a maze, intertwining truth and fiction, leading you to question the validity of your own perspectives. It's a bewildering experience, leaving you disoriented and searching for solid ground. But remember, this is her illusion, not your reality. Trust your memory, trust your intuition, and don't let her cloud your judgment. 4. Guilt tripping. After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me? This phrase is a masterpiece of manipulation, designed to turn the tables and transform her from the wrongdoer into the wronged. She weaves a narrative where her kind actions are magnified and your grievances are minimised, creating an imbalance of emotional debt. It's a calculated play, aiming to shift the focus from her behaviour to your supposed ingratitude. But remember, gratitude does not mean silent suffering. You have the right to voice your concerns without being shackled by guilt. 5. Changing the subject. This is another classic move, always executed with precision and timely accuracy. Just as you start to get to the crux of the matter, expressing your feelings and pointing out her role in the situation, she deftly changes the topic. Speaking of this, remember when she interjects, bringing up a completely unrelated issue. Suddenly, you're on the back foot, defending your actions and explaining yourself, while the original issue fades into the background. It's a strategic diversion, a smokescreen to divert attention and avoid accountability. What makes this tactic particularly effective is the subtlety. It's not an outright denial or aggressive defense. It's a conversational pivot, seemingly natural but meticulously planned. And before you know it, you're entangled in a different discussion, with the initial grievance lost in the shuffle. It's cunning, it's calculated, and it ensures that she remains blame-free, while you're left feeling confused and frustrated. 6. The silent treatment. This tactic is as cold as it is effective. When confronted with blame, a narcissistic wife might choose to respond with stony silence. She withdraws, shutting down any form of communication and leaving you in a void of uncertainty and self-doubt. The silent treatment is a passive-aggressive form of punishment, a way to exert control without uttering a single word. It's a power play designed to make you feel guilty, anxious, and desperate to fix things, even if it means shouldering the blame yourself. The lack of response is deafening, a non-verbal indictment that speaks louder than words, leaving you scrambling to make amends and restore harmony. But this silence is not her taking time to self-reflect. It's a manipulative tactic to deflect blame and maintain the upper hand. 7. Sneaky compliments. This tactic is particularly sneaky, as it disguises blame shifting in the cloak of praise. "You're just so sensitive. I love that about you," she might say, her words laced with faux affection. On the surface, it sounds like a compliment, an appreciation of your sensitivity. But scratch the surface and you'll find a subtle blame shift. What she's really saying is that the problem isn't her behaviour, but your reaction to it. By framing it this way, she absolves herself of any responsibility, while simultaneously making you feel seen and understood. It's a manipulation masterpiece, a way to deflect blame without appearing to do so. And because it's wrapped in the guise of a compliment, it's incredibly difficult to challenge without coming across as unappreciative or defensive. It's a psychological sleight of hand, leaving you grateful for her understanding, all while she subtly plants seeds of self-doubt and shifts the blame squarely onto your shoulders. 8. Projecting perfection. When a narcissistic wife feels the heat of blame approaching, she may resort to projecting an image of perfection. "I've done everything I could," she might assert, her tone filled with a mix of incredulity and hurt, as if the mere suggestion of her being at fault is absurd. This tactic is about setting a high standard, a bar so impossibly elevated that it seems unreasonable to question her actions or motives. "I've sacrificed so much, and this is the thanks I get," she exclaims, ensuring to highlight her efforts, however superficial they might be. The underlying message is that she's flawless, and any insinuation to the contrary is met with disbelief and scorn. This not only deflects blame, but also serves to elevate her status, creating a narrative where she is the martyr, above reproach. The projection is a fortress of self-righteousness, designed to intimidate and silence any critics, leaving you second-guessing your perceptions and hurt unscathed. 9. Sarcastic jibes. When cornered or caught in the act, a narcissistic wife might resort to sarcasm as a deflective tool. "Oh, I'm sorry for not being perfect like you," she might retort with a heavy dose of sarcasm, rolling her eyes for added effect. This tactic is dual-edged. Not only does it serve to undermine your concerns, making them seem trivial or exaggerated, but it also adds an element of ridicule. By delivering her response with a sarcastic tone, she's effectively belittling your feelings and turning the tables to make you appear as the unreasonable one. It's a subtle form of gaslighting, where she's not outright denying her behaviour, but is instead framing your reaction as an overreaction. It is difficult to criticise her in these situations without coming across as petty, because her words are poisoned and concealed by a pretense of innocence. It's a verbal dance that leaves you questioning your own perceptions and feeling isolated in your experience. 10. Apologies from the past. This tactic is a masterstroke in deflection. Imagine you're bringing up an issue, perhaps a hurtful comment or a thoughtless action. Instead of acknowledging her mistake, she'll reach deep into the past, pulling out a memory where she was in the right, or even a time when she apologised for a previous wrongdoing. "Remember how sorry I was when I forgot our anniversary?" she'll remind you, her tone earnest. The subtext here is clear. Because she has been remorseful once, she should be exempt from further blame. It's a way of using her past apologies as a get-out-of-jail-free card, regardless of the current situation. The goal is to make you feel unreasonable for holding her accountable now, given her previous remorse. It's a calculated manoeuvre, designed to play on your emotions and rewrite the narrative in her favour. 11. The charm offensive. Watch out when she turns on the charm. It's a dazzling display, crafted to distract and disarm. If she senses that you're on the verge of calling her out or holding her accountable, she'll suddenly become exceedingly sweet, attentive, and complimentary. "You know you're the most important person in my world, right?" This tactic is all about creating a dissonance between her words and her actions. It's a preemptive strike, aimed at softening you up and creating a sense of guilt for even thinking she could be at fault. It's manipulative brilliance at its best, using affection as a shield, making it almost impossible for you to continue with your complaint or accusation. And in the haze of a charm offensive, the issue at hand gets buried under a heap of sweet nothings and tender gestures, leaving you bewildered and questioning your own judgment. Having explored the deflection tactics of a narcissistic wife, you might be curious about what else to expect. Why not continue with emotional reactions you might observe in a narcissistic wife, or learn essential survival tips for living with a narcissistic wife? Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe for more insights. Now, which video will you watch next?